The film opens with a beautifully illuminated storybook that introduces us to the central conflict. The wicked queen, Snow White's stepmother, is obsessed with being the fairest one of all. Each day, she consults her magical mirror, asking it, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all?" For many years, the mirror responds affirmatively, reaffirming the queen's vanity and belief in her unmatched beauty. However, Snow White, blossoming into a kind and radiant young woman, soon captures the mirror's attention. Snow White's purity, innocence, and inner beauty surpass her stepmother's superficial allure. The mirror declares Snow White to be the fairest in the land. This revelation ignites the queen's jealousy, leading her to obsessively scheme for Snow White's demise. Enraged by the mirror's proclamation, the wicked queen orders her huntsman to take Snow White into the woods and kill her. As proof, she demands that he return with Snow White's heart in a box. Snow White, oblivious to the dark plan unfolding around her, is seen happily working in the castle, cheerfully singing and talking with the animals. Her innocent nature and optimistic view of life contrast starkly with the malice brewing in her stepmother. The scene where Snow White ventures into the woods with the huntsman carries an air of ominous tension. As they move deeper into the forest, the huntsman struggles with his conscience. Though he's been ordered to commit a heinous act, Snow White's kindness and gentle spirit eventually overwhelm him. Unable to kill her, he falls to his knees, confessing the queen's plan. The huntsman urges Snow White to flee and never return to the castle, as her life is in grave danger. Frightened and confused, Snow White runs deeper into the dark forest. The animation here takes a turn toward the surreal, reflecting Snow White's growing fear. The trees appear to come alive, their branches turning into grasping arms, while the forest itself seems to transform into a maze of twisted, threatening shapes. As she stumbles through the woods, her fear intensifies until she collapses in tears. This scene exemplifies Disney's masterful use of atmosphere. The animators blend color, shape, and sound to immerse the audience in Snow White's emotional state. Just as her despair peaks, the tone shifts. The animals of the forest, birds, squirrels, and deer gently approach Snow White, comforting her with their presence. They seem to recognize her goodness and purity, and Snow White, ever kind-hearted, soon recovers her composure. Guided by her new animal friends, Snow White stumbles upon a quaint cottage nestled deep in the forest. She knocks, but no one answers. Curious and in need of shelter, she enters the cottage. Inside, she finds the space in disarray. Assuming that it must belong to children due to the small furniture and the unkempt state of the home, Snow White and her animal companions clean the cottage. The dwarfs who live in the cottage are introduced soon after. These 7 minors, Doc, Grumpy, Happy, Sleepy, Bashful, Sneezy, and Dopey each have distinct personalities, making them some of Disney's most beloved characters. As they work in a nearby diamond mine, they sing the now iconic song, Hi-Ho, showcasing their hardworking yet jovial nature. When they return to the cottage and discover Snow White sleeping in their beds, the dwarfs are initially startled. However, Snow White's gentle demeanor and her offer to cook and clean for them quickly wins them over. The dwarfs agree to let her stay, and a touching bond forms between them. Meanwhile, back at the castle, the wicked queen learns from her magic mirror that Snow White is still alive and living with the dwarfs. Enraged, she decides to take matters into her own hands. In one of the film's most memorable scenes, she descends into a dark, hidden chamber beneath the castle, where she concocts a potion to disguise herself as an old hag. The transformation sequence is one of Disney's earliest triumphs in animation. The once regal queen becomes a twisted, haggard old woman with sunken eyes and gnarled fingers. The queen's evil is now fully externalized, and she is ready to carry out her final, most devious plan. She creates a poisoned apple, designed to put Snow White into a sleeping death. The only way to break this curse is through love's first kiss. Confident that no one will come to Snow White's aid, the queen sets off to find her. Disguised as the old hag, the queen arrives at the cottage while the dwarfs are away. Snow White, ever kind and trusting, invites the old woman inside. The hag offers Snow White the poisoned apple, claiming it is a magical wishing apple. Snow White, unaware of the danger, wishes for her prince to return and takes a bite. Almost immediately, the effects of the poison take hold. Snow White collapses, seemingly lifeless. The forest animals, sensing danger, rush to alert the dwarfs. When the dwarfs return, they find the queen fleeing the scene. They give chase through the stormy night as thunder crashes and lightning illuminates the dark forest. The pursuit ends atop a rocky cliff, where the queen tries to crush the dwarfs with a boulder. However, a bolt of lightning strikes the cliff, sending the queen and the boulder tumbling to her death. The dwarfs, heartbroken, believe Snow White to be dead. They cannot bring themselves to bury her, so they place her in a glass coffin adorned with flowers. Time passes, and the forest creatures continue to visit her, mourning alongside the dwarfs. Word of Snow White's beauty and tragic fate reaches the prince, who has been searching for her ever since they met at the beginning of the film. Upon finding her in the glass coffin, he is overcome with sorrow. He kisses her gently, unknowingly breaking the spell. Snow White awakens, her eyes fluttering open as the dwarfs and animals watch in astonishment. The prince lifts her into his arms, and they ride off together to his castle, where they will live happily ever after. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs was more than just an animated film. It was a revolutionary moment in cinematic history. The film's success cemented Walt Disney's reputation as a master storyteller and paved the way for future Disney classics. The film's animation was groundbreaking for its time. From the fluid movement of the characters to the lush, detailed backgrounds, Snow White set a new standard for animated features. The use of Technicolor added a richness to the imagery, making scenes like Snow White's escape through the forest or the Queen's transformation into the hag visually striking and memorable. Moreover, the film's emotional depth resonates with audiences even today. The relationship between Snow White and the dwarfs, the Queen's villainy, and the prince's love all contribute to a timeless narrative of good versus evil. The theme of true love's power, which breaks even the most sinister curse, continues to be a central element in many Disney stories. The film's music also played a significant role in its success. Songs like Whistle While You Work and Someday My Prince Will Come are now iconic, contributing to Disney's lasting legacy in musical storytelling. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs endures as a timeless story of love, friendship, and the triumph of good over evil. While rooted in a centuries-old fairy tale, the film brought new life to the story through the innovation of animation, endearing characters, and unforgettable music. Its impact on the world of animation and popular culture is immeasurable, proving that even in a world filled with danger and darkness, the power of kindness and love can ultimately prevail.